All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Feeney Call. Joining us today will be Nathan Dettwiler. I'm hopefully saying that right. I did ask him, and that's the pronunciation he approved of. Um, for those who don't know him, he drives up at full throttle at Varney Speedway up in, I believe it's Durham, Ontario, as it's classified it. I met him a few years ago at the 2020 COVID bone stock race that they had there. There was a big money race and stuff like that. I'm apologizing if things get sporadic. I'm pre-recording episodes, trying to work on my race car to get ready for the race season. At the same time, some of these other guys are getting ready for the race season. Nathan just started uh, yesterday on his season, I think it was. So if you notice changes and stuff like that, people are getting bounced around in schedules because I'm going to try to squeak in some pre-recorded, and so if timelines don't exactly match up, that'll be why. So bear patience with that. But without further ado, we are going to introduce Nathan Dettwiler. All right, this week we're welcoming Nathan Dettwiler, um, coming off probably the most fancy win that you've ever had. So
I
why don't you take a couple minutes to introduce yourself here?
Nathan Dettwiler. I'm the driver of the number 18 Bone Stock at Full Throttle Motor Speedway. This will be my third full season in the Bone Stock. This will also be my last season in the Bone Stock because I would like to upgrade to a street stock next year. And also between the Bone Stock, the trains, and trying to help everybody else, I gotta step back a little bit because it's intense.
So you drove the bone stock, you driven the trains, you drove the hot rod at Autumn Colors.
Well, I drove it a little bit.
You went around a couple times.
I finished both heat races, and then come feature time, I made it almost out of turn two on the first lap.
It's because it was hot pink. I think that was the problem.
It was salmon, or
It
no, coral. Coral. That's what Tim calls it. It's coral. And that's the original paint. Actually, everything that was coral on that car is the original paint on that car too.
All right, we'll let it slide because it's factory finish paint.
Yeah.
We'll let it slide then. Um, so your first year racing, I guess, was the first year I came up during the COVID invitational and stuff like that. So you kind of had a really weird introduction to getting going.
Well, that was my first year in bone stock. Actually, I raced mini stocks part time in 2011, 2012, or 2012, 2013. I can't exactly remember that when. It was, I wouldn't call it racing. I would say I was farting around the track while everybody else was racing around me. Um, but it definitely gave me a lot of experience and it was fun. I was just out there having fun. I'm out there driving with a stupid smile on my face the entire time. So couldn't really complain. But I really didn't get competitive till 2021 because you saw me in 2020 during that COVID race.
Yeah, I think you're the only car I beat besides Alex.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a rough year for I think everyone because there was no consistency in the cars that were there. So
No.
you never got used to racing with the certain home track guys because you had guys like me coming from Peterborough and you only had so many cars that could register every day because we were technically breaking the law but not doing it at the
Yeah,
same
it was
time.
it was really crappy time for racing. I was just glad we were able to stay open and do something and
Yeah.
just have fun because I don't even think it was well, there was a payout for that one, but even in tracks that were running, there was no payout, there was no nothing. We were like in 2020, we were just racing because we got the opportunity to race and we took it.
Yeah. I think it was like the second half of 2020 that we started getting payouts
Yeah,
because we could finally sort of mingle and
yeah,
they
is you're allowed to be open.
yeah. And it wasn't that there was no grandstands emissions at that time. It's basically you're cutting into the field. It was like what, 250 a car to go race somewhere and
Yeah,
half that went to payout and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly.
So we've obviously know you race in oval track. Have you done any other kinds of motorsports, done with derbies, figure eight, stuff like that?
I've done autocross racing. Honestly, just take your personal car, you go out and you just run track times by yourself, and then whoever has the best time wins a class. And I won that too. I got a trophy for that hanging on my wall. So
I'm thinking about trying that with the little Mazda. I do have
honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a great way, and that's actually the step that got me back into oval track races because I missed racing so much. It was something that was happening local at Full Throttle, actually, but it was called Grip. Jack Mack, he was actually one of my sponsors this year too. He was running it, and it's awesome. It's just a great way to blow off some steam. Just take your street car. I took a 2006 Pontiac Grand Prix GXP with a big 5.3 V8 in it, and I was out there wheeling it like it was a Honda Civic.
Yeah, I got the '08 Mazda 3 with the 2-liter, but I got some 280 treadwear tires on it. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Honestly, it'd be perfect for that.
Yeah. Maybe once I take the race car transmission out of the trunk.
Yeah, that you don't want that rolling around.
Well, rear weight in those cars is beneficial.
Well, strap it down with 2 straps at least.
No, I just have the seats up.
Oh,
So you've done the autocross, you've done oval track racing. I've been asking people like, what other motorsports would they like to get into? Like, is there stuff that you want to try other than like, and like, what also classes would you like to move up to? You said street stock, but like, where do you see yourself progressing to? Because obviously, you got a young kid that's just been recently born, I think it is.
yeah. Actually, I
So,
just
so
had my
budget's tight.
son born on March 8th. He is now the youngest of 5 of my kids. So I got a van full. I got a van full, but I still love racing, and I want to bring it up in the racing family, and maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, at least 1 or 2 who want to do the racing thing too and carry on the family tradition. So that would be nice.
Or at least pit crew.
Yeah, at least be able to change my tire, maybe. You don't have to like it; you just have to do it.
Yeah, zip
Yeah.
ties and duct tape. That's all you have to be good
That's
at.
all you need to know what to do. After that, we can fix it when we get home.
Yeah, if you can do drift stitches, you could be part of this family.
Absolutely. That's before you're walking. That's what you got to learn to do in this family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind to try drag racing. It's something that I've always had an interest in. I've always loved doing it, or loved watching it. I mean, and I've never had the opportunity to try it. I've never taken the opportunity to go and try it. And I got a lot of friends that do it, family members that do it. Actually, Chris Pagel, he has a YouTube channel, by the way. You should check that out. Chris, I honestly can't remember the name, but it's Chris Pagel or something. He's got a YouTube channel about his Mustang. You should go check that out. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, that's about the only thing I really think that I would really like to try. Other than that, I just love oval track racing, whether it's dirt or asphalt. Oh, dirt racing is something I want to try too.
Yeah, I think.
Brighton or Merrittville.
See, I want to try Brighton, as I sent the videos and stuff. I think yesterday when I was down there recording some stuff for the podcast and talking to Dan Price and stuff like that. But I really want to try Oshweekend.
Oshweekend is awesome.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to, have us drive cars, we'll gladly drive to
we'll
Oshweekend.
definitely. Me and Brandon will show up. We'll split the race in half. I don't know what it'll take, but we'll go. We'll show up, and we'll try not to break your stuff. We can't promise anything. We'll sign a piece of paper, but we can't we can't promise we're gonna keep it in one piece.
Well, I usually drive pretty smart. I can't say much about you because
I was gonna say, have you seen my last race?
So that's half the reason. So like this one's probably gonna be a bit delayed from coming out because I'm trying to record with somebody that's specifically for this week. So why don't you go over that finish you just had and explain what happened?
Well, Dustin was leading the entire race. He got up front and he was gone. And I started at the back of the pack. So I'm fighting my way through the traffic. And we got a lot of good, clean racing at Full Throttle. I take a lot of pride in making sure we stay clean just because I love good, hard racing, but clean racing because we all got work on Monday. We don't want to be spending all week working on our cars. Obviously, sometimes things happen. So I pride to make sure things are clean. Anyways, sidetracked. I get up to Dustin and he is flying. This kid has picked up so much speed from last year. And he's a kid. I think he's 15 now.
I don't even know if he's that old.
Yeah, he's still a kid. But holy crap, this guy's been wheeling this thing like he's been wheeling it for years. And this is his first year in this car. Because I think I know it was Connor Ellis's old bone stock, the 48 car. So I know it's fast already. And then we have Dustin driving it. And it's still really fast with Dustin driving it. He's driving a solid line this year. So I'll be honest, I was cocky going into that race, like, oh yeah, I'll catch him, no problem, and I'll be around him. And then I got up behind him, and I could not pass him. We were bumper to bumper, but I couldn't find a nice spot to get around him clean. And then we come around the white flag. I'm like, whatever, second place, awesome finish, great start to the year. I was happy for Dustin even. And we go around turn 3 and 4. We had lap traffic to the inside, lap traffic on the high outside. So we kind of go down the middle. And I was looking more left than right, so I didn't see exactly how Dustin got sideways. I was kind of just looking more to like maybe dive low him just in case. Maybe he runs out of gas, maybe slips off the throttle. I don't know, but be ready for something where I have a clean line to the finish line. And next thing I know, he's sideways, he's up in the wall, and then he shoots right down in front of me. And I knew if I let off, it would have been slowed down enough. I would have got him right in the door. And I don't like doing that. So I just, as bad as it sounds, I just stayed in the throttle so I knew I could at least hit his fender. Next thing I know, I'm up in the air, up and over, come back down, and then I grab the steering wheel. I'm like, okay, I can still turn and I have brakes. That's not bad. So I'll go around, finish, cool down lap, and then my car dies right at turn 4, and I'm just sitting there, kind of trying to get it going again. So Dustin goes up to the victory lane there up by the flag stand, because I honestly still thought he won. And then I hear on the radio the order of 18, 48, and I think the 17 car. And I'm like, oh. And then, of course, my car starts when that happens. My car just likes to win. And then it fires right up, and all of a sudden, I'm still flabbergasted what happened. I still can't picture it in my head. It just happened, and all of a sudden I'm in the air, and I just got this 70-degree angle. That got blurry. 70-degree angle on the tail of my hood, and just coming back down. It just happened so fast. And then I've seen pictures, I've seen videos, and I still don't believe that it happened, but it happened.
Yeah, it's probably one of the few cars that's ever won not on all 4 tires.
Well, I got a picture to prove it for sure is on one tire, because the left rear tire in the picture that I have, it doesn't look like it's touching the ground. Like the picture I sent you, if you zoom in on it, I don't think there's contact between that left rear and the ground.
Well, and to be fair, we can't tell the left front because it's behind the 17 car. Because I think
that car kept me from rolling over, because I have a scuff mark from his door on my roof.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So if that's the one correctly, that's actually Dustin's car from last year.
It was Dustin's old car.
So that's actually my old car from 2 years ago that I got from a raffle, which was Ben Gruntz had it before me, which before that it was like a Keith Parks car, which then it was a Barrie Speedway mini stock. Like that's a solid piece. Just those Civics at full throttles, you got to wind them up.
Oh yeah, they are a momentum car for sure.
But see, I ran full throttle with that turd of a Civic I have, not the same one that's there now, but it was an automatic one.
Oh, that blue and yellow one.
Yeah, the Pikachu car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wide open. I never lifted.
Yeah, didn't need to.
I was in low, screaming around at 6,000 RPM. And by the way, so if you ever watch the video from that, you know how they're looking at all the cars for the coolant bottle and stuff like that? Because
yeah,
that was mine.
It just fell out.
They can't DQ me now. So I had like literally like a juice jug as an overflow bottle just for safety's sake, so it wasn't just dumping down. Well, the whole jug, I guess, filled up and fell out of the zip ties, and up the track it went, and it caused that big pileup. I'm like,
that's when. No, that was before I got wrecked, because I was still sitting on the track when I was seeing them going around trying to figure where the bottle was coming from.
Yeah, because they were like checking. Nope, not from my car, because they looked at it's not wet because the whole bottle's gone.
Exactly.
Like, it didn't leak. Yeah. So and then like we're sitting there laughing because after the race, we're like, yeah, we got free spots because I dropped the juice.
Yeah. Ejecto juico.
If I could have done that from the lead, it would have been way better. But
it's almost like pulling the Kenny Schrader where you just put the fire extinguisher out the window and fake the guy out to that you're blowing up, and they back off and you just finish the race and win.
Yeah, it's almost like down here, this guy named JBJ that used to have water guns in the car. He would squirt guys' windshields to make it look like it's overheating. So you had a pretty successful season last year too. So
honestly, the last 2 years have been really good. I finished third in points in 2021. I finished second in points in 2022, and both like it was championship close, like second or last night, and that was going to decide who was going to win. And like I've always been a contender, or second last year and third in 2021. Yeah. And I've always been up in the top, and I've been really lucky. My first night out in that car in 2021, I had a third place finish in the first feature, and I was pumped. When I went out there, my expectation was if I finish, I'm happy, because it was such a dog the year before. But then I got it fixed up. I went through it, got it all fixed up again, new body, new tires, like it was ready to go. And I got third place. I was happy as hell. Then we go out for the second feature and I win it. First night out in that car competitively. And then it was just snowballed from there, just wins and top threes, successful nights, minimal breakage in 2021. 2022, I can't say that was the same. It was very hard mechanically in 2022. But still, I stayed in it, stayed determined, and finished with second place points. And I was still running trains full time too in 2022, and got second in points in trains as well.
Yeah, that's another class I want to try because it looks stupidly fun.
Dude, I got 2 train sets.
I know, but then I have to bring 2 other drivers as crazy as I am.
I got drivers.
I'd probably have to like jump into your train set because I feel like we're pretty similar. Like,
Oh,
especially if
probably.
I feel like we'd both not want to lift and make the tail car do the braking.
Oh yeah, no, tail car does all the braking. Don't worry.
But I said I feel like me and you were fine that way. Like we wouldn't use the brakes. We'd be hoping that guy has a sense of we're idiots. He's got the sense of responsibility.
Oh yeah, my end car driver, he keeps me out of trouble because I tend to stick my nose in where it doesn't belong every once in a while, and he kind of locks it up and tells me no.
It's like walking your dog all of a sudden.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually, you know what? That's a good way of putting it because that's pretty much what happens. And usually, what happens after that is 2 train sets collide, and then we avoid a wreck. So usually, I listen after that.
So he's got good foresight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's done this. He's got. I think he won the train championship. I think in 07 or 08. He's got experience in trains. So glad to have him on board for sure.
Has he been racing trains basically since 07, 08?
No, I think that was his last year. It was maybe 2010. I'm not remembering details, but I think up to 2010 was probably the last year. And then he started work with me at work, and I told him I got a train set, and then we got talking. Next thing I know, he's in my set. So very
So
lucky.
just for people who may not have been to full throttle, what a train set is you have a lead car with a motor, a middle car that basically just has somebody along for the ride with a steering wheel,
Yeah.
and a car in the back that's got no motor again, but they're usually responsible for the braking. So you have
Just the
3
braking.
drivers
Yeah.
trying to be on the same page, which doesn't always happen because usually
No.
the lead car is way bigger than it needs to be, and the back 2 are just on a kite string.
Yeah. Well, I had a new car going in my train set this year because there's one that was just done for. So my lead car is a 73 Malibu Chevelle. Has an LT1 out of a Buick Roadmaster wagon in it. So it makes good power. 4L60, locking first. I think 373 rear gears, but I might be wrong on that. Then my middle car was a Cavalier. My end car was a Dodge Neon with itty bitty little brakes, barely enough brakes to stop itself, let alone 2 other cars, and one of those cars being a full size boat. So usually at the end of the race, they were probably on fire, the brakes.
Was
That's
it one
if
of
we
those
started.
was it one of those 4-bolt neons too?
Yeah, like first generation Neon.
Yeah, that's gonna say the neon I got is at least a 5-bolt with a little bit bigger brakes.
Oh no, it is a 5-bolt because it's the same bolt pattern as Cavalier.
Yeah, but yeah, those brakes in even the Cavalier brakes wouldn't do that well. You can use
No,
both those cars; they're not stopping that boat up front.
usually by lap 10, the middle car had to use brakes because the Neon had none left.
Yeah, so that's where you got to upgrade your braking fluid.
Yeah, that's cost money.
Well, it depends on what you get. So, like the Castro SRF is extremely expensive.
Yeah,
So I'm lucky enough that I'm sponsored by Liquid Moly, so I get their racing brake fluid, which is actually higher boiling point than Castrol,
yeah.
but it's a lot cheaper. But I get it for free, so that works for me. But like if you
I
grab like
get it through BT. Get your plug in there.
okay, but well, I can't really sell it, my work can. But
Ah.
I actually got this brake fluid before my rep could.
Oh,
So it was yeah, long story short, I had to use Castrol, and all of a sudden it looks really bad to have a liquid moly car putting Castrol in it. And then I messaged some powers that be, and all of a sudden a case showed up.
okay.
So yeah, you got to use good brake fluid. You can get like Willwood stuff, the liquid
Yeah,
moly stuff, Castrol, because especially if you're putting that much stress, even in your regular car, it just saves. I can run the entire year of my super stock. I'm like just bleed it once in a while to make sure there's no
yeah,
air from getting hot.
yeah.
Because brakes are not something you want to lose at full throttle.
No, actually, last Saturday I was out for practice, and that's exactly what happened to me. Well, first practice, I broke a ball joint, saved it, but broke the ball joint. So I fixed that, went back out, and lost all brakes completely. My master cylinder seal blew, so my foot just went right to the floor coming into turn 3 at full speed.
The only good news is if you lose brakes, if your car is set up halfway decent, you can just kind of coast it to a stop.
Yeah,
Yeah, you might spin it, but like it seems like because the banking, if you just throw it in harder, just aim lower and it'll slow up.
absolutely. It's just like, well, guys like you and me with experience will definitely know what to do, but if you get a rookie losing brakes, they could panic and usually just plow it into the wall.
Or worse, they don't ever use the brakes until all of a sudden there's a car sideways in front of them.
Yeah, and then they find out they have no brakes.
Yeah, those are always the derby sounding shots.
Yeah.
So, um, what was I gonna say? I got distracted by derby stuff. Um, so you have I believe it's NA Racing on Facebook.
I do. I do.
See, I'm paying attention, kind of.
Yeah.
So that's you've got your trains and everything on there. You're driving what? It's a Ford Pro.
Ford Escort ZX2.
Ooh,
Yeah.
fancy
It is
ZX2.
fancy. It's the
So
only it's the only one in Ontario that I'm aware of as an oval track car.
yeah, because there wasn't a lot that were even shipped out here.
No, Canada was not very popular and Canada was not very nice to them. Most of them got rotted out and sent to the scrapyard at a very young age. The last two that have come up for sale on Marketplace or Kijiji, I bought up and took them apart and stole parts because
So
they are.
you own most of the Ontario's ZX2s.
I've owned between my race car, the parts car that came with my race car, and I've bought two of them that come up for sale. So yeah, I think I've bought all of them that were available right now. There was one more that came up for sale, but it slipped through my fingers.
So long story short, if you're looking for rare ZX2 parts that he might not need for his race car, you can
I
help
have them.
support his racing budget.
Absolutely. It's very expensive, especially after this Saturday.
Did that new ball joint stay intact after you
New ball
decided?
joint stayed intact, but that new strut that I just put in over the winter did not.
Well, now you just have a little extra camber.
Oh, believe me, that extra camber helped very well in the second race. Actually, I was kind of scared. I started on outside pole in the second race because I started at the back the first race. And I'm like, well, either it's going to work really well or it's going to go very terribly wrong and I'm going to hit the wall or the berm coming out of turn 1. So I just threw it in and it stuck and I'm like, okay. And then it started shaking violently the entire race and I'm just like, okay, let's just keep going every lap. It's one more lap, one more lap, one more lap. And the shake just got worse and worse and worse. But then the checkered flag flew and I got that win too. So couldn't really complain. The car is very, very bent though. So I got a lot of work ahead of me this week for this coming Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, it's a doubleheader this weekend.
Doubleheader. Ooh, no, I might be fun stock Saturday or bone stock Saturday and train Sunday. Maybe that's why I'm thinking it's a doubleheader.
All
I
right.
gotta look at the schedule again.
So, for the record, we're going to be talking about last weekend by the time this comes out. So, yeah, TV magic. All of a sudden, we're talking about the wrong weekend. But yeah. So, have you looked at it? Like, what all you looking at replacing so far? Like, you said the
So
strut,
far,
probably the wheel.
strut wheel. I think the wheel I can salvage, taking the tire off, and I think it's just the lip that's bent. Luckily, I think the actual wheel itself is okay. I'm pretty sure it's a brake rotor that warped from the hit because they would have been hot. And then when I got hit, it just warped and it was warped so bad it was shaking the whole car. And then inner tie rod end was bent at a 45. And I was only able to straighten it out to about a 30-degree angle. And I was like, that's good enough. And threw the car back together and took it out for the feature. So not too bad. About under $500 in parts to repair it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, depending if you have some of those parts cars, you can just borrow some parts from now if you had to.
Oh yeah, like I'm definitely gonna be robbing some parts if I need them, like those odds and end parts. I usually if I'll rob parts off the parts cars if it's a time issue, or if I wrecked it Saturday, I got to race Sunday. I know I won't get parts in time, so I'll rob them off there until I can get new parts, and then I'll put the new parts on.
So the first part about that is you probably had every spare part, but you probably didn't have a new strut sitting there kicking around or something.
I was in a rush Saturday and I didn't grab anything.
Yeah,
I could have all that stuff.
that's the way it always goes. Like you normally go up the track, you have a strut kicking around, you have a couple tie rods, and you
Never
always
need them.
break the one piece that you freaking don't have
Yep.
every time. The worst thing I ever
That's
lose is a rad cap because I never have spare rad caps because I always lose
actually, I don't think I have a rat cap in my kit. I should probably throw one in there.
them. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So especially because they're racing rad caps, so you have the extra pressure too, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
you
because they go up to 20 psi, don't they?
25.
Oh yeah.
Superstock's got 25. The Neon's got 216s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Neon takes 2 rad caps.
So you got your rad in the overflow, or your rad in like a high point?
So it has a PT Cruiser upper rad hose,
Oh, okay. So they
which
got,
has that stupid one, plus then it
yeah,
has the one on the rad.
yeah,
So this one
because
makes it easier to bleed, is all it does.
because they're really bad for airlocks.
Yeah. So with that having the PT Cruiser hose, it actually bleeds better.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, we got really sidetracked. NA racing. Actually, we really would like to talk about this because it's something I kind of created a couple years ago, but never really did much with it. Just kind of like myself, and that was it. But over this past year, I made a lot of good racing friends. I'm basically family at this point, and they want to get into racing. So then they all bought race cars, and they didn't really know what to do, so they're kind of looking towards me for help. So I picked up Tyler Bites. He races the number 10 Lightning McQueen looking car. It's awesome. He's awesome. Good guy. He's going to be definitely a top car this year. Now that he's got a car that's working the way it should be, because last year he had nothing but electrical issues and axle failures. He never really actually, I don't think he finished a race last year, unfortunately. He was always underpowered and stuff. Jeff Rumble, number 42 Ford Focus. He raced a partial season last year after he bought the car from the previous owner, just finished racing the season under their number and their points. And then got it all painted up with his numbers on it this year. He's picking up speed really quick. Then we got my buddy as well, Steven Hubsey, races the number 19 Bone Stock. Still, he's more or less on his own, but I just help him out when he can. So I'd still consider him part of my team, but he's still not on the team, if that makes sense.
He's an affiliate.
An affiliate. That's the word I was looking for. An affiliate of NA Racing. So I still help him out when he needs it to make sure he gets out there. Because in all reality, I'd probably put my car last on the priority list, because if my car doesn't go out, it's only one car. But if I can help 4 cars go out, that's a big difference in car count. When 4 cars make it out and 1 car doesn't, or 1 car makes it out and 4 other cars don't. So I really like making sure our car count stays up, because we had 15 or 16 cars on Saturday, which was a pretty good count for opening night, I thought. And I take pride in my work. I just like making sure everybody's happy and having fun. And that's pretty much what any racing's all about, is just making sure the car count's there and entertaining the fans and make sure they keep coming.
So I just got the 9-minute notification here. So I'm going to give, yeah, I don't know if it says it for you or not, but I'm going to give you a few minutes here to, why don't you thank some of your sponsors and list them off here. And why don't you give us a little bit of a schedule for where people can find you racing, and maybe some info on that.
Absolutely. So first of all, I'd like to thank Quick Six Car Rentals out of Brampton. They have hopped on board last year and have been a very big help, like a huge help to keeping me going. Because last year, the amount of mechanical failures I had and issues I had, if it wasn't for them, I was not making it out every weekend for sure. Mike Needham Trucking, he was my first sponsor for the race car, because before that was all just out of my pocket. He hopped on board and helped me out a lot. Great guy, great company. Check them out. Bill Lilico, Grouting Services, really good guy as well. They hopped on board just after Mike did. This will be his 2nd or 3rd year on board as well. I'm not exactly into the details. I don't really pay attention to timelines. I'm sorry. Great guy. And then I also, I'm having a brain fart here. Jack Mack Restoration. There we go. He's the guy that I did the grip events with, and that's how I got in ties with him. And then this year he hopped on board for sponsorship, which is awesome. Unfortunately, I didn't get the stickers on the car this weekend, and I feel really, really bad about that, because we had 2 awesome pictures. It would have been perfect. So he's not on the car. B&J Contracting, that's a family member of mine. He hopped on board because he just loves seeing the car out there, and he wanted to make sure he kept seeing the car out there. So he hopped on board. He helped. They do great work. Honestly, that's a great company, great group of guys. Give them a shout out for all your contracting needs. Those are the guys to go to, 100% hands down. Carl Plumbing and Heating, he hopped on board last year with his wife Sheena, and the Nail Barn. in Hanover as well. They hopped on board and helped me out immensely as well. They got a bunch of businesses going on. I think they got two more of their businesses they're opening up this year, if I remember hearing correctly. So there might be more. Who knows? I think that's all my spot. Oh no, that's a lie. Two speed hopped on board this year for me as well. Corey McAllister is helping out the little guys. I didn't think he'd be interested in sponsoring any four cylinders with this stuff. I thought he'd be into that, but no. Corey's an awesome dude. He's like me. I think he has the same mentality of just trying to keep the cars out there because he loves racing. He's probably one of the what's the word I'm looking for? He's probably got the most heart of just racing. Just loves the sport and just loves supporting it and just loves being out there. And I'm the same way. So I think we see eye to eye that way, and maybe that's why he wanted to hop on board. I'm not too sure, but he's awesome. Buy all your stuff from him. He's local. He's cheap. Whatever you need, he can probably get it. That's your guy.
Or make it.
Like they have an amazing fabrication shop. Like when I drove by there to pick the stuff, I was not expecting that, to be honest. They had, I don't know what it was they were building in there. It was massive and it was aluminum. That's about all I know.
Is that the shelving system that Corey's putting in?
It might be. It was a quick glance. I'm not entirely sure.
Or we're just giving out private details to his business that he wasn't going to release yet. Either way, I don't think he watches this.
That's what it is. All I know is made of aluminum.
So yeah, why don't you give a little bit of a schedule and your social media links?
Schedule is I basically race every weekend at Full Throttle, whether it's trains, whether it's the fun stock, or whether it's part-time in the hot rod for Tim and Black Magic Racing in that number 70 Studebaker. That's oh so gorgeous. I love that thing. I really do. Everybody's not a fan of it, but I love that car. So, and then I've liked Autumn Colors this year. I went with my buddy Steve Hubsey. He raced it last year, did really, really well, made it into the A main, raced his way there, but we had a lot of radiator issues and water leak issues. And long story short, we're sitting there in lineup and we're like, well, it's going to leak anyways. Might as well go as far as we can. Everything was great until that red flag and he had to shut it off and it didn't start back up again. So any weekend, you'll find me at Full Throttle all season long. I'll be racing something. You can check me out Facebook at NA Racing, like it, follow it, whatever. I try and stay up with all the updates on there of all the finishes and times and where you can get it. I do have a YouTube channel. I haven't really been active on it for a couple of years now. That's my goal this year, is to make sure that stays up and going. So follow it or subscribe to it, and I'm gonna do my absolute very best with my very small limited time that I have allowed with all the other stuff going on in my life, where I can maybe sit down and edit for an hour every night and try and get some stuff out and content out on that as well. And I think that's all my social stuff that I have. I might have more and I've forgotten about it.
So you bring up the story about friggin' overheating and not refiring. I was driving that Ion a few years ago, the blue, orange, and yellow one.
Oh yeah.
I lost water on lap 5 of a 40-lap race.
Oh.
I looked over, the temperature gauge said 436 degrees Celsius.
Ooh.
I'm like, turn the gauge off because it was a tablet, and I'm like, all right, that's it. Freaking, if we'll just keep going. When it blows up, it blows up. It'll be a great show for the fans.
Exactly.
It never blew up. We got to a red flag with like 4 laps to go. I was sitting, I think, 10th, and the motor literally melted itself together and locked solid.
I 100% believe that.
Yeah, those Ecotechs do not like 500 degrees centigrade.
Close to like 250.
Well, if it's still moving, it's still fine.
Yeah. Just make sure it doesn't shut up.
Anyway, I thank you for joining us and giving us your time.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk some more real soon.
For sure. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate the time for sure. And hopefully we can do this again in the future. And maybe the finish is me with all 4 wheels on the ground.
Or none.
Or none. Actually, you know what? Yeah, new goal. I'm going to launch that thing like Dukes of Hazzard over the finish line.
Upside down and on fire, win the race.
Absolutely. That's the next goal.
All right. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you very much, guys.